Hey there, everybody. Welcome into week 4 box checkers. It's your boy Choppadong, and I hail from DFSArmy.com. As you know, one-stop shopping, all things daily fantasy sports, third-party rated, NASCAR, NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA. We've got it all for you in content, tools, and coaching, where we will sit down one-on-one if need be and talk to you and make you a better player. We give you access all over it. We don't add on extra subscription bullshit like some of these other places do. That is the biggest crock of crap I've ever heard in my life. Why am I going to send you off somewhere else to get additional tools to help my buddies in the industry out? No, we put it all in-house. Our own optimizer, our own cheat sheets, our own tools, our own coaches, our own everything right here, one-stop shopping, daily fantasy sports. So use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, get that 10% discount, and get in here. Start spending time with me. I'll make you a better player, and I'll show you how with box checkers here in just 2 seconds, because we're going to do something a little bit different this week. Instead of going through in 15 minutes, which we've done the past 2 weeks, just to show you it is so possible to just go blam and not knock it all out. Let's take our time a little bit. We may have to break this up into 2 videos today, but let's take our time a little bit and let's talk. You and me. Sit down. Have a chat. What I've done here is I just kicked off these early and late games. I'm down to just the main. I hold the control key down and I go click, 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 and off they go. And I'm looking at the quarterbacks. And what I'm trying to find is who is sitting in a spot most likely to reach value. I've got a few inflection points that I'm looking for. Salary, home or away, favored in Vegas, high total game, efficient quarterback, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And one of the biggest things that we can sort this machine by, you can sort and filter and all that good stuff. Let's put a filter on this. Let's go to DraftKings. Because 74% of the winning quarterbacks in the Millie Maker are between $6,000 and $8,000 in salary. They're actually under $8,000. So if I go less than $8,000, see how I'm doing this? Bloop. See ya. The expensive dudes are gone. Why? Because the expensive dudes, it's harder for they have to have massive games just to pay off their salary. And on top of it, which they can, they're studs. But if you find that same production, that same 30 points out of somebody for $1,500 less, what happened? You just freed up $1,500 for running backs or tight ends or whatever that's going to give you. Is a $6,000 player typically better than a $4,000 player? Then why force yourself to go take a couple of $4,000 players because you just had to play Patrick Mahomes? Instead, you'd probably rather play that $6,000 player and find the same game that Mahomes had in a Justin Herbert or in a Josh Allen last week or whatever. That's why that works. So if we cut that down first and just use that as a figure, if you're over $8,000, you're dead to me. I'm going to be better off, especially in a cash game. I'm going to be better off saving a little bit of money and finding that same game environment for cheaper. Why would I buy a 6-pack of Bud Light for $10 when I can buy one for $7 somewhere else? Right? It's the same Bud Light, same beer. It's going to have the same desired effect on me in about, 2 hours. Everybody's going to look pretty. You know how it goes. So we're going to set ourselves up for the similar situation here by salary. And we're going to start looking for who's home, who's away. Now, again, that is not such a massive indicator that it's a black or white rule. What it means is if you're on the road, I need to see a high total game. I'd prefer you to be favored, and I need to see that you're an efficient quarterback. Or maybe you've got a running floor with your legs. I don't need only that. I'm not going to write you off completely like I just did the salary. So let's go looking at the game environments. And I see that the green numbers are the underdogs. Jalen Hurts is an underdog. But he's in a 54-point total game. If that game is scoring 54 points, Jalen Hurts is keeping up with Patrick Mahomes somehow. Right? So that's okay. He's on the road. He's the underdog. That hurts. You would rather him be favored. But he's in a good game environment. So you can consider him. Now, we might want to find somebody who checks more boxes, who maybe has a little bit more going for them. So we come down here to a Dak Prescott, high total game, 50 points. He's also on the road, but high total game, 50 points. Was Jalen Hurts at home? Jalen Hurts was at home, okay. And Dak Prescott's at home. So I'm already shooting myself in the foot a little bit. But hear what I'm saying. More than the particulars. Hear what I'm saying. 50-point total, 4.5-point favorite, 27 points implied to his own team to score. That's a better environment than Jalen Hurts is in. Kyler Murray's on the road. 4.5-point dog, 54.5-point game, 25 points. Still okay for Kyler Murray, but he's on the road and he's a dog. If I come down here, let's see if I can find somebody who's on the road and favored. See if we can figure that one out. Aaron Rodgers is at home. Russell Wilson's a dog. Ryan Tannehill. Is Ryan Tannehill on the road? Ryan Tannehill's on the road. Ryan Tannehill is apparently a 7.5-point favorite in a lower scoring game environment, and he's on the road. I don't like Ryan Tannehill this week. Sets up like a Derrick Henry week. Okay? So these are the kinds of things that we're looking for. By the way, while we talk about Josh Allen, let me say it really quickly. 16.5-point favorite doesn't matter to him. It's not the game script you think it is. Everybody's going to say, well, that's a running game. Who's he going to run with? Is this really going to be the Zach Moss 3-touchdown, 120-yard show? Probably not. It's probably going to be a committee between the two. And if 31 points, 31 implied points, 32 actually, is what Josh Allen is implied to score. Are you telling me out of those 4 touchdowns and a field goal that they're gonna rush for 3 of those touchdowns? No, Josh Allen's probably, if they rush for 3 touchdowns, Josh Allen's got 1 or 2 of them. Number 1. Number 2, he's gonna throw. That's what he does. So even though it's a 16.5-point spread, and we go, oh my God, over a 7-point spread, that's a running back game. You gotta have a running back worth of shit. And they're just not there yet, or they're in a committee. So good luck picking one. Okay, Josh Allen's gonna get his points anyway. Usually speaking, Kyler Murray's gonna get his points anyway. Lamar Jackson's gonna get his points anyway. I'd rather see them favored. I'd rather see them at home. I'd rather see them in a closer spread that's going to imply they're going to keep their foot on the gas. I'd rather see them running around like chickens with their heads cut off. I'd rather see them with no dominant, running back in their backfield. Those types of things are all box checking things too. So bear in mind that while we go through this criteria, we're also keeping in mind the other things that might make exceptions to the rules. Largely speaking, though, we're looking for a home quarterback, a favored quarterback, somebody in a higher total game that's not $8,000 and that's an efficient quarterback. Okay? That's pretty much all there is to it. So these are the guys that are on your list. Use Hurts. Use Kyler Murray if you want to. Use Dak. Use Matt Stafford, for crying out loud. Matt Stafford is favored, implied to score a ton of points. Is he at home? God, he's even at home. He's at home versus Arizona. How many points is Arizona allowing to the quarterback right now? 20 per game. Okay, so not great, but not terrible. Combined, they're allowing about 260 yards passing. Go back and think of who they've played this year. Are these high prolific quarterbacks yet? Some of them might be, some of them might not be, whatever. Is Matt Stafford having a good year so far? Yeah. Does Matt Stafford have a running back? Not really. Oh, it's Sony Michel. Yeah, please. Probably not. It's going to be the Cooper Kupp show, maybe some Bobby Woods, maybe some Van Jefferson, whatever, maybe some Higbee. You got too many damn passing and receiving weapons for Matt Stafford, who's already throwing the ball a ton, not to continue doing what he's doing and what's working. So that's probably the best play on the board right now, honestly. Let's take a look at running backs. And let's do the same thing. Let's kick those games off so that we eliminate some of that stuff. And then we're going to do the exact same thing, because 65% of the time, the Millie Maker winning lineup, the running back from it has been between the $6,000 and the $8,000 range. Well, that's 28% of the time there. 17% of the time, he's a $4,000 running back. But those are the odds. The odds are better if you choose those salary frames. Okay, so if we wanted to, we could say Alvin Kamara, who's one of the best players on the board, is a little pricey at $8,400. We could say Derrick Henry is definitely a little bit pricey. You're not going to play both of them. Once again, if you can find a Chris Carson, Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire again, David Montgomery, Deandre Swift, some of those types of guys that are down in the low sixes, save the $2,000. Upgrade your tight end, upgrade your receivers, upgrade your second receiver, something along those lines. Somebody that has a little bit more potential to kind of get the whole lineup score up a little bit. So I can take these guys down and I can use this filter this custom filter to go in between $6,000 and $8,000. And now I'm only looking at what I want to see. I'm looking at Millie Maker criteria. As long as they're also home, we got a lot of road guys. Again, not the end all be all, but I'd prefer them be at home. I'm preferring an Aaron Jones. I'm preferring an Ezekiel Elliott, right? Alexander Madison if Dalvin Cook sits again, right? These other guys, okay, I want to see other factors for these guys because they're on the road. Salary's a big one. They're already in the good salary range. But from Chris Carson down to Deandre Swift, let's go looking at their game environments. Who's got the total games? Who's over 45, 46, 47 points in their game environments? Okay, Chris Carson should be considered. Antonio Gibson probably should be considered. Najee Harris should be considered, just on the 19 targets alone, if they do something like that again. 42 points for Jonathan Taylor probably doesn't need to be considered. He's an underdog. He's on the road. He's in a low-scoring environment. Probably not going to be a Jonathan Taylor game. The game does not set up well for him to pay off even the salary at 60 whatever hundred that he's got. You can probably cross him off your list. Nick Chubb, favored, 52-point total, sitting pretty. Deandre Swift is an underdog again in a 42-point game total, and he's on the road. I don't like Deandre Swift this week. You'll hear him around the industry getting bandied about. People will talk about him. I don't like him. Why? Because I see 3 or 4 things going against him reaching value this week. I can ignore it. Certainly in a cash game, I can set up with somebody else, like even a Chris Carson or an Alexander Madison, and probably have a little bit better chance at those guys having a little better game. Now, if Deandre Swift goes off and scores 3 touchdowns or whatever, then, I'll look like an idiot. But I'm willing to take that chance because what I'm looking at in the game environment is telling me it isn't conducive to him going nuts. Another thing I'm going to look for, targets and touches. Who's touching the ball? In this range, all of them, 13, 14 touches, but they're also getting some receptions. Look at Najee Harris again. He's only getting 13 touches. He's getting 9 receptions on average, right? Sure, he got 14 last week, and that helped a lot. But if he's getting 6 to 8 a game, he's going to be over 20 touches. This 13 touches here plus another 6, 7, 8, whatever, is at 20 plus touches. That leads to value. That gives him opportunity to get that done. Might not rush for any touchdowns. Alvin Kamara early on didn't rush for a lot of touchdowns. He a lot of receiving touchdowns for Kamara. Najee Harris may fall into the same boat, when the season's over, where he ended up with a lot of rushing touchdowns. His touchdown numbers were still there, but they just weren't rushing touchdowns. That's okay. What I don't like seeing is when I scroll over here to the red zone usage and Najee Harris is only being used in the red zone, 5% of the time, 6% of the time, whatever. I'm not a big fan there. He's getting used a little bit in the receiving game, but not inside the 5. He's getting it inside the 10 at 7% a little bit. I don't like that. I like these monsters here that are sitting in the 40% and higher range. Chris Carson at 33% almost, right? Antonio Gibson at 40%. 56% for Jonathan Taylor's a good sign, but I don't like the game environment for him. 68% of the time for Zeke. That's why you're getting a lot of those early easy touchdowns, right? They're going to eventually come back and punch it in if they're using you there all the time. Those are good numbers to know. Again, look at the guys getting the touches. Where's Zeke at? 16 touches per game is almost at that magical 18 touch mark on its own. Add in 4 catches, he's over 20. Yeah, Tony Pollard's a thing, and it's going to suck some weeks, but Zeke is still getting the lion's share of the work, and Zeke's plenty fine to hit. He's getting enough opportunity that he's going to have his games. Aaron Jones, 14 rush attempts, 4 passes, 18 touches. That's just barely there. And again, he's going to have his games where he's great, and he's already had a monster one, so you expect some regression in some other games to not be so great, just to level everything out. But this is a good environment for him. He's home, he's favored, he's applied to score, he's getting the touches, he's getting the red zone usage, he's checking all the boxes. This is how you go through here and you walk player by player and start thinking, is this guy on my short list or is this guy not? Is there other criteria he's missing that he should have? Is he missing too much criteria? Or is he really only missing 1 or 2 things? If he's only missing 1 or 2 things, you don't need to sweat it so much. If he's missing half of the criteria, yeah, it's a bad thing. Let's do receivers, tight ends, and defenses in another video. So let's come back. Let's push this one out. Let's come back and do part 2 here in a little bit. And then we'll talk a little bit more as time goes on. Peace, homies. We'll talk to you here, in about 5 minutes? See you soon.